Hello and welcome to Paranormal Chronicles. I am your host, Joe Miranda. Today's episode is Dark Manifestation Part 2. Now, before we go any further, I just want to make it very clear that I'm a flawed man and I'm a sinner. I give God all the glory. I believe Jesus Christ is my Savior. And I renounce Satan. However, I never, ever underestimate his ability to blind minds, eyes, ears, and hearts here on earth. So, in past episodes, and in particular the previous two, I've shared my thoughts regarding demonic interference and demonic possession. And I've given 3 examples of how and why I believe entities attach or attempt to attach to humans. So you have those entities are unembodied entities. They've never had a human body. So they work through humans to be able to experience that. And in today's episode, I'm going to share a 4th example, which occurred just 25 days after an entity manifested in my Las Vegas condo living room. After a session on the Bear Best driving range. Now, on May 30th, 2019, Colliers International Links for Life charity tournament was being held at, you guessed it, the Bears Best golf course. Among those attending was prominent Las Vegas businessman Scott Gregson. Gregson is the grandson of a former Las Vegas mayor, Orrin Gregson, who served as mayor from 1959 to 1974. And is the father of NASCAR driver Noah Gragson. He was also the executive vice president of the Las Vegas Land Division with Colliers International, which at the time was the 3rd largest commercial real estate firm in the world. Now, as often happens at a lot of these charity events, there was an after party. So Gregson and a caravan of friends and acquaintances headed back to his house for that event. Gregson lived in a gated community just adjacent to Bears Best called the Ridges. Within moments of pulling up to the guard shack at the entrance of the community, Gregson got into a heated argument with a security guard there at the shack because she wouldn't allow the convoy of vehicles he had with him to enter the community without checking in first. Infuriated, Gregson sped off into the community. And in less than a quarter mile, his Range Rover reached a speed of 82 miles an hour. 82 miles an hour was 57 miles an hour over the posted speed limit in that community. Gregson lost control rounding a curve and crashed into a stand of trees. Passenger in his vehicle, Michelle Newton, a mother of 3 young children, was killed in the crash. 3 other passengers in his vehicle were also badly injured. A forensic toxicology report would later reveal that Gregson had a blood alcohol level of 0.14 3 hours after the fatal crash. On September 4th, 2020, Scott Gregson pled guilty to DUI resulting in death and substantial bodily harm and was sentenced to 8 to 20 years in prison. He's currently serving out his sentence at Stewart Conservation Camp, Carson City, Nevada. It's a low-level security facility. Gregson must serve a minimum of 8 years before he's eligible for parole. So that would take it into 2028 before he's even eligible for parole. Now, knowing what I know now, begs the question, do I believe there's a connection between Scott Gregson's rage-filled behavior on May 30th, 2019, and what I experienced 25 days earlier? The answer to that is yes, absolutely. And to that point, I have a colleague who's known Scott Gregson for more than 30 years. And although Scott Gregson had a prior DUI, and right off the top, one DUI is one too many. Doesn't get a pass for that. But that colleague told me the behavior Gregson exhibited that day toward the security guard and others involved was totally out of character for the Scott Gregson that he knew. Now, if there's one thing that I hope people glean from this episode, it's that a clear mind is essential to the health of our spiritual immune system. I'll share a few things that I believe will help in that matter. Cleaning up our diet. We are what we eat and drink, folks. Keeping order in our lives and in our homes. That means cleaning out the clutter. Clutter leads to chaos. The human brain is not wired for chaos, people, which is why chaos leads to stress, anxiety, and depression. Set aside at least 30 minutes a day. Maybe you can get away with 20 minutes a day, but 3 to 5 times a week to exercise. And that's moderate exercise. And of course, always consult with a doctor first to find out what exercises are right for you. Can't stress that enough. Stay off this thing as much as possible. And let's start socializing more with our fellow humans. Mark my words, 30 years from now, studies are going to show the negative impact that cell phones are having on society. Now, if you ask me, cell phones are the new drug of choice for people. Now, let's take a moment and dive into some details from recent episodes that I shared with you. And you can then judge for yourself if any of the dots connect. In 2013, a cell phone picture captured an entity in a mirror at the home I was cleansing. I believe the entity in that house attached to me, but disengaged at Creek's Edge Road, which would explain my car sound system's malfunctioning. 5 years later, in July of 2019, and less than 1 mile away from where I encountered the sound system issue in my car, a house on Creek's Edge Road was the site of a murder-suicide. Next, there's an unsolicited hug after the house cleansing in 2013. from the father of my friend's girlfriend. That led to a mystery illness or something that afflicted me, that had me seeking refuge at the National Center for Padre Pio, a priest, it just so happens, who was known for his healing powers and spent a lifetime battling demons and dark entities. As I stated before, I actually had a glove that St. Padre Pio wore to cover his stigmata on his hands, pressed against my chest. And I believe that is what healed me. On May 5th, 2019, while at Bears Best Golf Course, I sensed the presence of a dark entity. This encounter would leave me drained and out of sorts for the rest of the day. I then received an impression from the watchers to take a video in my condo. The following night, I would capture a dark entity on video manifesting in the living room of my condo. 25 days later, Scott Gregson, a man with absolutely everything to lose, would have a mental break and in a fit of rage, kill a woman in a DUI crash after playing at a charity event at that very same golf course, Bears Best. A father at a house where a portal had been commandeered. A cruel, dominating husband. Prominent Las Vegas businessman who enjoyed a life of wealth and privilege. 3 men with one common denominator. All 3 made it a habit consuming alcohol to excess. Just as a poor diet, alcohol, drugs, whether illicit or prescribed, and stress will compromise our immune system. It also compromises our spiritual immune system. The fact that my friend Kelly and I were unscathed after that entity manifested in the condo living room was a tremendous blessing. But it also speaks volumes to the lifestyle that we both live. Because trust me, the impression I got of that entity was that it was vicious and searching for someone to devour. I know that may sound strange to a lot of people out there. But these entities play for keeps. A lot of us take vitamins and supplements to bolster our immune system. We do it in order to live a better quality of life and to ward off disease and aging. So doesn't it make sense that a clear mind, as well as prayer and leaning on the Bible for guidance, will bolster our spiritual immune system? I think it does. However, I still have to remain vigilant and humble myself. Because even though I try to do all the things to protect myself and make myself less susceptible to demonic interference or possession, I must always remind myself that it doesn't make me impervious to their lies, deceptions, and distractions. Folks, none of us are.